On the eastern side of Central Europe, on the 45th northern parallel, there lies the Black Sea, the greatest continental maritime basin of the planet, a huge repository of saltwater waters. Named in antiquity Zina, Pontus Euxinus, then Pontus Mayer, it has been of great economical importance for the human collectivities that have lived near its shores. Besides the fact that it provided a chief means of transport even from old times, the importance of the Black Sea has resulted from the particularities of its flora and fauna typical to this sea. Not even today has it stopped offering generously to the present generations a special environment, being properly considered the source of health, a place of rest, and last but not least, an area with a very special ecosystem. Only 4 or 5 decades ago, in the waters of the Black Sea, there could still be found a surprising variety and richness of fish, always considered of a major economical importance not only for the inhabitants of the areas close to the sea. Among the diversity of species in the Black Sea, there can be noticed the sturgeons, righteously considered a rarity all over the world. The dolphins in the Black Sea have adapted to the conditions typical to saltwater waters, breaking apart from other species of dolphins in the planetary ocean. Beside the wide variety of species belonging to the marine vertebrates, the Black Sea offers benefic conditions to a wide range of invertebrates like lamellibranchiatic clams, shellfish, and other species of this sea, varieties that add to the zoological picture of the pond. In order for the trophic chain to be complete, we must also mention the marine plants like seaweeds, among which Philophora, Ulva, Enteromorpha, etc., or the unicellular ones. The plankton is made up of small-sized species of fish or of embryonic stages of some evolved ways of life, like shellfish and other species, that is, from the totality of the marine living bodies of small size, starting from unicellular ones to the somewhat bigger organisms that cannot move by their own forces, being carried by the currents. The plankton lies at the basis of the trophic chain in the Black Sea, also because it constitutes the food of the drainers, of spawns, and even of small-sized adult fish, that in their turn constitute the food of the raptors, of the dolphins, and not lastly of humans. From all times, the human collectivities that live near Pontus Euxinus have learned the art, the secrets of fishing, a profession that has guaranteed to thousands of generations throughout history an important part of their diet. Even today, the people that live near seaside are great consumers of fish, sharing the richness of the sea with the aquatic beings. After the collapse of Bosphor, a major geological phenomenon, there appear in the saltwater waters of the Black Sea new species of fish, migratory ones like the sprat, the sorrel, the mackerel, the bluefish, the horse mackerel, and the dolphin that have come from the Mediterranean Sea. The equilibrium that nature has established along the geologic eras has been maintained up until the 1970s, when in the biotope of the Black Sea some major changes took place. After this date, on the surface of the sea in the coastal areas, there has appeared a strange phenomenon. On hot days and a calm sea, on the surface of the water, big reddish stains were formed, and both in this perimeter and around it, dead fish lay on the surface of the sea. These were the first signs of an ecologic catastrophe. In only a few years, the number of individuals from all species has alarmingly decreased. The number of dolphins and migratory fish has decreased off visibly, a phenomenon directly reflected in fishing where the quantities of caught fish were smaller every day, and the marine invertebrates have reduced their living areas. This completely new phenomenon has alerted the fishermen, the civil society, and the specialized institutions. In October 1986, USSR, Romania, Bulgaria and Turkey started negotiations for a Convention of Protection of the Black Sea against pollution. The USSR has initiated a text that drew public attention to the deterioration of the biological equilibrium in the Black Sea and has launched the idea regarding the Black Sea that has stood at the basis of future negotiations of all the activities and financing received up until the present. In Romania, the most concerned have been the specialists in research from the Grigore Antipa National Institute of Marine Research Development in Constanta, an institution well known both by its tradition and by its scientific competence in this field due to the systematic research of the quality of the marine environment along the years. How did the deceleration of the phenomenon start? At the level of the 1980s, 1990s, the research that we have developed has initiated major accomplishments. These facts have demonstrated that mainly at the level of the components of the coastal ecosystems and even of the ecosystem in the open sea, the main issue we have had to confront was the reduction of the biodiversity. The number of species, especially seaweeds, macrophyte algae, that I'm talking about, have been cut down to half during the 80s, 90s from about 70 to 80, in the 70s, 80s to 30 to 40. The situation is maintained in a precarious equilibrium even today. The biomass and the surface of mussel fields have also been reduced by more than half. When we speak about fish, it is especially here that things have changed, that there are the most profound mutations. First and foremost, we can say that before the 60s, 70s, the object of fishing was represented by 125 species. After about 20 years, the number of these species has been reduced to 6. In only 6 years, the overall production of fish at the level of the Black Sea has dropped over 3 times.
Producția totală de pește la nivelul Mării Negre a scăzut de peste 3 ori.
The specialists have included in their activity, without delay, the identification of the causes and the establishment of the gravity of this phenomenon. The activity of over 5 decades of the Grigore Antipa National Institute of Research Development has stood at the basis of the international recognition, being quoted among the best institutions of profile in the countries bordering on the Black Sea. The warning regarding a possible ecological catastrophe launched by the Institute has gone beyond the borders of the country. In 1992, in the presence of the Romanian President and Prime Minister in Bucharest, there took place the diplomatic conference for the signing of the Convention for the Protection of the Black Sea Against Pollution, named the Convention of Bucharest. It was signed in the name of their countries by the Ministers of the Environment. The first international meeting for the saving of the Black Sea. There have been present heads of state or ministers of foreign affairs or ministers of the environment from the countries bordering on the Black Sea. The implication of the international community has materialized immediately through the decision of initiating in 1993 the Black Sea Environmental Program BSERP, financed by GEF, Global Environment Facility, an international organism having as partners the International Bank for Financial Management, UNEP for its expertise in the domain of the protection of the environment, and UNDP for institutional management. After the signing of the Convention for the Protection of the Black Sea, at the request of the 6 countries around the Black Sea, the international community has approved and financed a program for the environment for this basin.
Un program a cărui prima valoare a fost de circa 26 de milioane de dolari și care continuă și astăzi.
In the program, whose first cost was of about $26 million and which continues even today, the 6 countries have established a program for monitoring and evaluation of pollution. As a consequence of the activity carried out for 4 years, in 1996 there was elaborated the first cross-statal analysis of diagnosis, on the basis of which a strategic plan of action for the protection of the Black Sea was approved and signed. At present, under the auspices of the same program, both the cross-statal analysis of diagnosis and the strategic plan of action are brought up to date. The technical and material assistance for the protection of the marine ecosystem through the 2 GEF projects has been extremely important for the fate of the Black Sea and implicitly for all the countries in this basin. There has been elaborated and is still functional today a regional program of monitoring and evaluation of pollution. There has been a common methodology of prelevation and analysis for which the national laboratories involved have received high-performance equipment. The personnel has been instructed according to the request of this technique, and in the countries bordering on the Black Sea, there is implemented a program of insurance and control of the quality of data on the whole of the Black Sea. The first cross-statal analysis of diagnosis, one of the first in the world, has been elaborated by BSERP, on the basis of which the strategic plan of action for the recovering and protection of the Black Sea was developed and approved in 1996. The research has been intensified and extended in all the laboratories of the Institute, starting with the quality of the waters from different areas and depths in such a way as to result in a complex spatial image of the composition of the marine environment. The research was concentrated especially on the activity of monitoring and evaluating pollution. The presidency of this group was given to Romania in the person of Dr. Radu Mihnea, who was also named the national focal point for Romania. At the same time, due to the most recent equipment such as spectrophotometers and chromatographs, there have been underlined changes in the chemical composition of the sea waters. In a short while, it was demonstrated that the main disturbing factor for the Black Sea is the excess of nutrients, phenomenon called by specialists eutrophization. In this respect, new systematic research has been pursued, which has underlined an excessive flourishing of some unicellular algae, the formation of a great mass of organic substances whose decomposition determines the decrease of the concentration of oxygen in the water. For this reason, the phenomenon named phytoplanktonic flourishing caused the massive death of benthonic organisms, especially fish, molluscs, etc. At the same time with this phenomenon, the too large density of the phytoplanktonic cells has worked as a screen, keeping away light in the depth where the seaweed live. In the absence of light, these have not been able to photosynthesize and have faded away. Repeating a few times during the same summer every year, the phenomenon has provoked an ecologic disaster through important changes in the marine ecosystem, especially characterized by the alarming decrease of the biologic diversity, the disappearance of species, some with high economical value. It has been proved that the main cause of this phenomenon was the excess of nutrient substances, salts of phosphor and nitrate, introduced into the sea as a result of the human activities. The ways of introduction of these damaging substances have been the main running waters tributary to the Black Sea, especially the Danube, whose waters have transported about 60% of the nutrient import. From the point of view of the sources of pollution, it is considered that 50% come from agriculture, 25% from the industry, 25% from the urban agglomerations through the discharge of used waters and domestic fuels. The possible measures for the rescue of the marine environment, taken up only in Romania, weren't enough because along with the Danube in the Black Sea, there flow other rivers on the territories of the countries open to the sea. The waters of these rivers are comparable from a quantitative point of view to those of the Danube. The causes of pollution must be searched among the consequences of the industrial activities and among the technologies of intensive agriculture practiced until 1989 through the excessive use of fertilizers. After this date, there has been noticed an improvement in the ecosystem also due to the political and economical changes in 1989, which have determined the decrease of the industrial activities and of the intensive agriculture. The possibility of pollution of the Black Sea stems also from the geomorphologic characteristics of this basin. In the abysmal area, the Black Sea is 2,000 meters deep, while the stratum of water useful to life with economical importance is of only 180 meters. The connection of this continental sea with the Mediterranean is made through the Sea of Marmara and the Aegean Sea, through two narrow straits whose depth doesn't surpass 100 meters. In these geomorphologic conditions, the possible changes of fresh water are very reduced. So the volume of water in which life can develop is relatively small. For these reasons, if we don't pay attention to the contribution of the sources of pollution in the sea waters, the phenomena that have taken place in the 70s, 80s can reappear. Not once has it been affirmed that the marine basin contains so much water that it cannot be polluted, and still, in no more than 30 years of intensive agriculture, irrational from an ecological point of view, the excessive use of chemical fertilizers has wrecked the biological equilibrium of this marine basin. We must be aware of our natural duty with respect to the care for the environment. It is a problem that concerns all of us, and we mustn't forget that the beneficiaries of this gift of nature are not only us, but also our children, all the future generation. What do we leave to them as an inheritance? A diseased nature? Our carelessness and ignorance can condemn to extinction hundreds of species from the flora and fauna of the sea. Such a destructive phenomenon, once started and not stopped in time, can lead to the disappearance of life in the Black Sea. As a consequence of the activity sustained in the 14 years since the beginning of the rehabilitation of the marine waters as part of the project financed by international organisms in the coastal area of the Romanian seaside, the results are visible. They reflect not only the activity of non-governmental organisms but also of the local authorities prepared for the surveillance of the environment, and last but not least, of the specialists from the Grigore Antipa National Institute of Research Development. The plankton is reaching the density proper to this sea. Migratory fish have appeared. The mackerel, the bluefish, the horse mackerel, the sorrel and other species are again passing through Bosphor as they have done for innumerable millennia before the pollution, and they arrive in the Black Sea in the warm season. With the result of their work. the number of dolphins has increased, being sometimes seen near the shore. The fishermen are more satisfied. However, we must not consider the action as closed. It should be taken up to the how fragile the natural equilibrium formed along the and how easily a carelessness that seems minor can generate serious consequences. Stage of permanent alert because the last 30 years have proved the continuation of the alert is compulsory because the consumer society without premeditation can damage nature and implicitly all of us. It is to our benefit not to forget that the Black Sea has to live.